Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, topic 2 vocab. Okay, 3-column notes as we've done before with vocabulary. Okay, so lining up the line from the back page to the front page so we know we've got it nice and straight. And once again, okay, so putting today's date, which is the 8th, but I'm just going to write the word date. And make sure you put the current date there. Okay, so the first column is our term, our word, okay? So we have commutative property of addition. Okay? Oh, I forgot to label the top. Topic 2 vocabulary. Okay? So remember, if I go fast, which I tend to, you can pause, catch up, and then push play again. Beauty. The beauty of the internet. So the commutative property of addition is the order of addends can be changed and the sum remains the same. Addends, the things that you're adding, okay? The order doesn't matter because the answer, the sum, remains the same, okay? So the order of, that's an F, sorry, addends can be changed and the sum, notice the spelling, okay? The sum remains the same, okay? Okay, so add in the things that you're adding together, and sum is the answer. Okay, so let's do the example. 3 plus 7 is the same as or equal to 7 plus 3, right? It doesn't matter the order. So I'm going to label more vocabulary, okay? So these things are your addends, okay? Each individual one. It's the items, the digits that you are adding. And then your answer is your sum. So sum for this particular example is 10. Okay? All right. The next term that we need is the associative property of addition. So I'm going to skip one line to make sure. Associative property of addition. And what that is the addends, remember what the addends are, can be regrouped and the sum remains the same. Remember what the sum is, okay? The addends can be, I don't think I can fit regrouped. There's a space here, guys. I made a mistake. Regrouped. And the sum remains the same. Okay? So our example, if we have, make sure I got that space, 1 plus this other group together batch of digits, 3 plus 5, it's the same thing as, instead of writing it this way, the flip-flop on both sides of the equal, I don't have room for that whole thing, so I'm just going to rewrite it this way. I'm going to take these two and group them together. Okay, so 1 plus 3 grouped plus 5. We should end up with the same sum, right? So 3 plus 5 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. I'm going to put 9 there. Well, now let's do this. 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 5 more is 9. See? These add-ins can be grouped in different ways because we're still just adding 1, 3, and 5. Okay? The sum is 9, no matter what digits you group together. Okay? Next one is compatible numbers. Compatible numbers. Okay? So, compatible numbers are numbers that are easy to compute mentally, to do the math mentally. Okay? So, numbers that are easy to compute mentally. Okay, so twos. Twos are easy to compute mentally, but really multiples of 10, right? 10 plus 10 is easier than, say, 8 plus 7, right? So if you used compatible numbers for each of those and pop them both up to 10, you're estimating and you get a number that's close, right? So it's hard for me to give a clarification or an example over here. So I'll put, let's see, 10s or 5s, right? Working with 5s is easy because you can count by 5s easy. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, right? It's easy to count by 5s. So 5s are easy to work with in our head to compute mentally, okay? All right, so the next one, remember, yes, I am going quickly, guys, because I am recording, but you can pause. You can pause. You can rewind, okay? So after compatible numbers is compensation. Write that here, compensation. Okay, so compensation is when you adjust one number of an operation to make computations, figuring out the math, being like a calculator, easier and balancing by adjusting the other number. A lot of words, kind of confusing. Let's get to the clarification part and it will make more sense, okay? Adjusting one, I don't think I'll fit the word number there, number of an, I'm going to kind of mush it, operation, adjusting one number of an operation to make computations, being a calculator, figuring out that math, easier. And remember, that's and. When we're taking notes, it's like a cursive plus. It's the same thing as writing out A and D. It's just faster, okay? Adjusting one number of an operation to make computations easier and balancing the adjustments by changing the other number. Whew, a lot of words for a really very simple thing to do. Okay, so here's the clarification. Here's to help the understanding. So if you, and this is one that you guys should have learned way early on when you're working with nines. Okay, so for our example here, 9 plus 5. Well, that might not be automatic when you're first learning to add your nines. But what you would do, let me change my color here, is I'm going to make this, I'm going to compensate. I'm going to add one thing to the 10. And to the 9 and make it 10. Okay? Because 10s are really easy to add to. But because I added that one there, I'm going to balance it and take it away from there. And now I've compensated, and 10s are easy. I can hold that 10 in my head and put 4 more, right? It's really easy to see it that way. So my answer is 14. That's the answer here as well. Okay? Here's another way of thinking about another example of compensation. Okay, if you're moving it up here, make sure you guys can still see it. If your problem is 8 plus 7, well, the way I compensate here is I go, okay, I'm going to add 1 to that 7. Therefore, now I have 8 plus 8, and doubles are easy. When I taught first grade, we practiced doubles when we were walking in our lines places. I would holler out 1 plus 1, and all the kids would say 2, and I'd say 5 plus 5, and all the kids would say 10, and I would yell out 8 plus 8, and all the kids would yell out 16, right? You're supposed to know your doubles by first grade. Well, here's where I need to compensate. I added 1 here, so I take 1 away there. And that gives me that answer. 8 plus 7 is 15. Okay? That's compensation. When you juggle the numbers just a little to make it easier in your head. Okay? All right, and now our last one is rounding. Okay? Rounding. Now this is something we've been doing with our spiral review, so this should not be new. You should know rounding and how to do it and what it is. But we're reviewing vocabulary. So rounding. It's a process of determining which multiple of 10, 100, or 1,000 a number is closest to. Round to the nearest 10, round to the nearest 100, round to the nearest 1,000. When we get to decimals, rounding to the nearest whole number. Right? Okay, so let's write that down. A process that determines which multiple of 10, 100, 1,000, I'm going to put in parentheses, etc., because we could keep going, 10,000, 100,000, million, right? But this is all that I'm going to write it down. I think you get the point of it with just writing those 3 down. A number is closest to. Okay? So, for example, if I would have 938 and I said round to the nearest 10, well, then we have this position that we're rounding to, right? And it becomes 940. Now, if I take that same number again, 938, and I say round to the nearest 100, I'm looking at that digit, and 900 is my answer, okay? So, make sure you have all of these written down. Make sure you have all the clarifications. Okay? Let's end it. Oh, it won't go out any further. Okay, well, there it is. Okay? Make sure you have them all down.